I'm so upset right now. I'm making this video because in life sometimes you just don't think things could happen because it's not fair and doesn't seem right, but lately two things has happened to me, and one happened to me right now. I got a PayPal, and I got a new PayPal debit card, which allows you to use your PayPal funds on your debit card like a regular debit card. And we've been out today. I got my haircut. Menard got her haircut. We went to lunch, you know. Anyway, I just go to pay for Menard's haircut, $45, and I put my PIN number in, and she's like, oh, it was the wrong PIN number. So I put it in again. She gets the wrong PIN number. I put it again. It said declined. I'm like, okay. So I pull up my account. So there's plenty of money on there to cover it. And so she tries it again. It says declined. So I called PayPal, and I told them what's happening. And they're like, oh, okay, I see. Here, I reset it. Go ahead and use it. And I'm like, okay. She said, try it again. So the girl tried it again. She said it was declined. And I told the lady on the PayPal, I'm like, this says it's declined. She says, okay. So nothing I can do to reset it. She put me on hold for like 5 minutes. She comes back, she's like, sorry, there's nothing that we can do about this, just try the ATM. So I walked down the road to the ATM, tried to get money out, it said declined. She's like, yeah, it said declined. And then she put me on hold again, and this whole call it lasted almost 40 minutes. And she goes, sorry, so basically your card is locked up, but I can't unlock it and no one can unlock it, and you're gonna have to use a different form of payment. And I was like, this is the only card I brought because it has money on it, okay? I was freaking out because I owe them $45. So I have to speak to the supervisor, and he comes on. I'm like, there has to be something you do. My money's on this card. Basically, to make a longer story shorter, it's locked up because it wanted to be locked up. The supervisor doesn't know why. And my money's on there, but he says because it's a new card that they can lock it up randomly so that you can't access your money, your funds for 24 to 48 hours after it's locked up randomly. And I said, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Go in here and tell them I don't have the money for a haircut? That's like always been my fear, not to have the money for something. And he says, well, you're going to have to use a different form of payment. And like I said, I don't have any. So there you go. My card didn't work because they locked it up for whatever reason. He says he doesn't know. It just did it on its own. And I can't access my funds. And I owe the hair people $45. Thank goodness I've been going there a long time. It wasn't like a restaurant or something. I told her, and she's like, oh, that's no problem at all. You can just call tomorrow with your credit card number or stop back by and pay. And I was like, I even asked the PayPal supervisor to talk to the salon so they didn't think I was lying, and he wouldn't. He wouldn't tell the people, okay? I'm very disappointed. And this is like one of those things, like, did that really just happen to me? Do I have to go into this place where I go and say, sorry, I don't have the money to pay for my haircut? You know how embarrassing that is? It was terrible. Okay, so that's the first thing that happened. And I want you guys to know that if you get PayPal and a business debit card that comes along with it for free, always bring a second form of payment. Don't always maybe put all of your funds in that one place, because apparently it can be locked up at any time after your card is new. He said even a month later, and you might have access to funds for days, not even the ATM. Okay, that's terrible. I'm like, look how shaky my hands are. I was about to have a panic attack. I haven't had panic attacks in a long time. You guys know I've always had them off and on, but more on since my mom died last year. And I finally took something from the doctor. I finally took something from the doctor for anxiety. It took me, Trevon was 4 when I first got my panic attack, and he's 21. So it took me that long to take something. I wanted to do my own natural way of trying to do it on my own. But I know this is a whole nother video, but I did go to the doctors, and I do have high blood pressure from the anxiety. So she gave me medicine, and it works really well. But in extreme circumstances like this, like one credit card, it's not working. I had to go into this fancy salon with all these people in there and tell them that I can't pay for my haircut when I have the money. And it was just like, I almost had a panic attack. I was like, started to get shaky and feel like I couldn't breathe that well. Like I said, we've been going there for years, and they were super nice about it. It didn't make me feel embarrassed or dumb at all. I showed the girl my balance. I'm like, look. Anyway, the second story that happened a couple weeks ago, and it's one of those times where you're just like, how can this happen? How can this happen? Okay, so basically I had a Royal Caribbean cruise booked. This is about a cruise, but still. Royal Caribbean has been doing some things lately that I and a lot of people don't like, but I am a travel agent, and this is very shocking to me. I had a Royal Caribbean cruise booked, and since I booked that cruise, they have a new policy where when you book a cruise, you can either do a non-refundable rate, which you can never refund your deposit starting right now when you make it, and it's cheaper, you know, than the regular refundable rate, which you can cancel if you want to. So basically, like if you go on a Norwegian cruise and you put down a deposit, say the deposit's $200, and you want to go to cruise in a year, you put down $200 deposit, and they hold your cabin, and you have up until 90 days before sail date to pay for it. And if you decide to cancel before then, you get all your money back with Norwegian. Everybody has their own policies, but Royal Caribbean did change to a refundable, non-refundable choice. So I had a refundable deposit, which I was changing to a different cruise. And I told the lady what cruise I wanted, and I told her, you know, everything I wanted in the cruise. I wanted the cheapest room. She gave me a price, say $550. It's been a couple weeks, I don't remember the exact things. Say it was $550 non-refundable rate and $700 refundable rate. And the cruise is for next December 2018. And she said if I book the non-refundable rate along with the saving $150, I would also get a $50 onboard credit, which is something you get for booking non-refundable. So I told her that's what I wanted, and she found me a room, and she assigned me a room, and she went over everything, and I gave her permission, and she transferred, you know, basically it's like I put the deposit down, I transferred over my deposit from another cruise, and that was that. So then she sends me email confirmation of my booking, and the price was like $130 more than she told me. And so I was okay, that's weird. And there's no onboard credit. So I called back, I spoke to someone, and I told them, he's like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be $500. You're supposed to have $50 credit. And he looked into it, and apparently it all turns out that, I don't know, to make a long story short, she was looking at the port fees and taxes wrong, and she quoted me the incorrect price, and that also the $50 onboard credit I was supposed to get is only if you get like a ocean view or higher room, which she clearly knew I wanted the cheaper room, and she found me an inside room. And even though the whole point is that even though I was given a price and an onboard credit, and I made like a permanent reservation that couldn't be changed, it was all wrong. No onboard credit, $130 more than I thought it was. If that was the case and I was only gonna save like $40, I would have booked a refundable deposit. And so I asked for a supervisor, I told him the problem, and I said, you know what, just cancel this one, it just happened, put it back to what it used to be. I would never have booked this cruise, that cabin, you know, if it was gonna be this price. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's a non-refundable rate. You cannot change it, modify it, or anything. And I'm sorry that that lady told you the incorrect information, but that's what it is. And I said, you're telling me she works for you. She told me all this stuff wrong. I booked this non-refundable cruise, and I have to take it, and she was totally incorrect. He's like, yeah. So he took her name, and he said he's going to talk to her about it. And to make it better for me, he would give me a bottle of wine and a fruit basket. No, chocolate-covered strawberries. But once again, this took like an hour and a half of my time. I was completely misquoted. Basically, I booked under all false pretenses. No onboard credit, $130 more than I was going to pay, and with no option to change it. So you have to be careful. And out of curiosity, because I know wine lately, I said, what kind of wine is it, right? Because he was like, oh, because he was like, oh, I'll give you a nice bottle of wine. He's like, it's going to be way worth more than what you know, the amount you're missing out on. And I said, what kind of wine is it? Is it champagne? He goes, no, it's just oh, he told me the name. It's the kind you buy in the grocery store for $9. And I said, well, can you give me the onboard credit? Because, you know, companies that have the ability to give you credits when there's a discrepancy that's their fault, right? He goes, no. Is this where you get off to go to Disney Springs? We're going down to Disney right now. I think so.
Yeah, it says Disney Springs.
He says, nope, I can't give you any onboard credit. I can't adjust the price. I can't do anything but give you the bottle of wine and chocolate-covered strawberries. But don't worry, the value of the wine, the chocolate-covered strawberries is so much, like, worth way more than the $130 you are misquoted. And I'm there like, that would have to be like $100 bottle of wine. He's like, so is that okay? I'm like, well, that's my only options. He says, yeah. I was like, fine. But that right there tells me you just always got to be careful. And even if you are careful like me, if there's a mistake on their part, it's set in stone after that. It was set in stone. So that's why I don't see how something like that can happen. Okay? How can something like that happen? It makes it scary if you think about it. Right? Now I'm all like, I always want to carry a lot of extra cash in case my car doesn't work, and I want to go over, I'm going to go double over all the booking amounts. It's crazy. I had stuff like that happen with my cell phone in the past. You know, they tell you it's going to be this much a month, and you get your bill, and it's like, what the heck? But anyway, yeah, that was stressful. I can't believe that happened, but it did.
Yeah.
And luckily everything is okay. We're headed to downtown Disney. We're going to be making a Halloween shopping video for Everything Disney Shopping here on YouTube. It's our other channel, one of our other channels. It's me and Manara. It's our haircut. Look at that hair.
Yes.
Is that a rant? I guess you call it a rant. Rant is over.
Definitely a rant. I like listening to people rant.
I don't usually rant, but these are the two biggest unfair things that have happened to me, where I'm completely a victim here with nothing to do. Like, I can't do anything. Really, what if I was a Red Lobster or something? I'm sorry, I can't pay for my food. My credit card doesn't work. How many times they hear that? That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Now I'm going to be all paranoid now. I'm about to always... What I'm going to do here, honestly, is I'm not going to put my direct deposit on my PayPal anymore. I'm going to put it in my bank.
Yeah.
You know, I've used PayPal for years and years, and I've never had this problem before I got this new debit card. And it says you can use your PayPal funds at any time. Anyway, rant over. We're at Disney. Doesn't matter how unhappy you're feeling. Look, Walt Disney World, ready for your date and sleep. Woo, I'm happy.
Oh my gosh. Take that frown, turn it upside down, Amy. Yay.